Okay guys, we're going to go through setting up the dimensions for our components on our controller. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look through and we're going to create a sketch. Now we're going to make sure this is on the top face, so we're going to come up over here, go to the top and select that face. So now we're into the sketch options that we have. So notice that we've got a good proportion of things in this create. My strong suggestion would be stick with line, arcs, try and avoid the splines. The splines can be quite challenging along with the conic curves to lock in. So arcs, circles, rectangles, lines will be much more manageable. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a construction line. So over here, all the shortcut is X, and we're going to add a straight line up and then a line across so we can do some patterns later if we need. At the moment they're free, that doesn't matter, they can go up and down. But what we're going to do is I'm going to set up my dimensions for my joystick first. I'm going to actually have them loose, so they're not going to be connected to anything. I'm going to start over here. Notice that it's gone into construction, so it won't actually register until I update this, but I'm going to make this guy, he wants to be, I'm going to go 28 millimeters. So the first thing I'm going to do is select on him and change that off construction. So now he's solid, you can see it's a complete shape, and now he's filled in. So from here, he's free. At the moment, I'm happy with that. What I want to add now around him are my little circles for the screw holes. So I'm going to grab another little circle, and I'm going to stop doing it off that, and I'm going to turn off that construction. So I'm going to add in, now this one I'm going to do 2.65 for the 3mm screws, so they can actually screw into the thread. So I'm now going to make just 4 other circles. It doesn't matter what size they are, because now I'm going to use constraints. So there's a couple things I want to do here. First is going to be the horizontal and vertical. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select each of those. So that's going to line them up that way. If I check that one and that one, that's going to line them up that way. So notice that those new icons that are showing up, if we accidentally do something that we don't want, like let's say I add that one on and press that one, I can always remove that. So if I select on that and hit delete, it will then remove that, and I can move him back there. So now they're all linked in so that they're going to be in line, which is what I want. The next thing I want to be able to do is I want to make these all equal. So this one up here, you can see a bunch of constraints. I want equal. So I'm going to select that circle and that one and do that for each of these circles out there. Because I want to have everything locked in, but the less dimensions and drawing I can have on this, it'll be easier to follow. So now I've got those set up. Now I need to lock in the dimensions from the center for each of these. So this is, I am going to use dimensions, so I can go to create and sketch dimension, or the shortcut you can see is D. So I'm going to select D there. And I'm going to start locking these ones in. So I'm going to go from the circle to him, and notice how I can move around to get the dimension. I want this guy here, and he wants to be 9.25. So now that's locked him in that way. I'm going to do the same one, but I'm going to go up this way now, and I want him to be 12.5 millimeters across, which then locks that in there. And I'm going to come down this way now and go across here, which wants to be 11.25, which then pulls those guys up. And then the last one I need to do is going to be this one to there, and now I want that one to be 14. So now each of those is locked in, and if I try and move one, they're all going to move as a group. So at the moment that's perfect until I decide the shape of my piece, so I can move him around until I sort of set up my controller how I want. The next things I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my buttonholes and my potentiometer. So these ones are a little bit more straightforward than this one. So I'm going to grab a circle and I'm going to make my buttons, they're going to be 6.65 so that again they can screw in. So I've got 2 of those, so I'm going to grab another one, make another circle, and I'm not going to put a dimension on that, but I am going to use that equal again. So now those 2 are equal. So that's nice for those ones. And now I'm going to do my potentiometer. So I'm going to make him, he is actually going to go 7 mils. And I need a small circle above because our potentiometers have that little knob that allows it to be locked in so it doesn't rotate when you try and move it. And that one wants to be 3. That's a nice easy way to do that. Now the dimension for that one away from him is 8.25. So that's in there. And what I want to make sure with that is it just stays parallel. So now when I move those, they're going to move together. Now, from there, I'm going to kind of look at my shape and work out where I want these things to sit. So I kind of want these to be all together. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to use a construction circle from here and then sort of go out to that center. I'm going to dimension that out and maybe I'll go 40 and we'll start with that. And then what I can do with the next one is I'm going to go a coincident, which means it lines the 2 points up. So I'm going to select that one and that line. So now you can see he's fixed on that. If I try and move that, the only place it can move is on there. Now I can also then choose how far away these 2 are from each other. So let's go maybe 20. And I could sort of keep going through from that. So you can see that it's gone that parallel version. So that's probably not what I want. So I'm going to try that again. And this is the bit that we need to keep working on. So I want that in between them. So I think that's got it. So let's try that. And now if I move those along, they will move around the outside 20 mils apart. So that's kind of what I want. I might start looking at my outside circle or my outside shape at the moment. So I'm going to start just a real simple rectangle. So over here I've got some options and I'm going to then draw that out. So I'm going to go, I think that 80 seems good, by 150. And let's see how that looks in terms of size wise. So that's probably bigger than I need because you can see all of that stuff up. So I'm going to drop that down maybe to 60 and pinch that in maybe to 120. So you can sort of start playing a little bit with the shape and the size of what you want. I'm going to change those ones to be not a construction. So you could go through and do that for each line, or if I double click everything, it will adjust those as well. So we can go through and start making up our shape and start building it out. So that's a really simple square at the moment, probably not very exciting for a controller. But I'm just going to then round my corners. So I'm going to use a fillet for that one. Go that one and that one. Change that off construction. I'm just going to do that for each of my corners. So now I have 15mm radius on each of my corners. I might actually bump that up a little bit. Let's go to 20. And it's got a really simple rounded shape. Now that guy I actually want to have lined up with that center line. So he's right in the middle. You can see that's happened there. This guy, I think if I pull that down, that's going to be a little bit low. So I might pull that up a little bit. And we're going to go with a dimension line here to be able to then work out where from there to there, how far up I want that to be. So let's maybe go 8 mils up and that looks good. So I'm happy with that. I might actually pinch that in a bit further. And you can see that that's now shunted it to the side because that's on that diagonal there. So I'm going to actually remove that. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my symmetry. So I'm going to select that one, then that one, and then the one that I want it to be symmetrical against. And then same deal, I'm going to select that edge, and symmetrical around that one. Now it looks like I've lost my dimensions, so I'm going to put those back in. So that one, I'm going to go into about 100. I'm just going to pinch it in a little bit tighter. That looks like it should be okay. And then same deal with this one. I'm going to go to 50 for that one. Maybe 45. Okay, so from there, I can bring him in, so you can see he can only move on that. And that's looking good. And then this guy here is locked at that height, and we're moving him around. So the last little bit that I probably want to do is lock in the distance that this guy is from the end. So I'm going to just go 25, so it's even there. And this guy, I'm going to go in and go 20 in, just because it's a nice round number. And the last thing I might do is work out how far this wants to be. I kind of like that angle, so I might just use a coincidence for him onto that line there. So now I have a sketch. If I pull those guys in, because that just fits in there. If you have a look at my sketch now, I should have everything locked in almost. There it is. That's fixed. Tie him on there. And then you can see I've got that little padlock on my sketch to say everything is dimensioned. So if I finish that sketch, I've got that there. He's ready to go. And the last thing I want to be able to do is I want to extrude that. So I'm going to select the parts that I want, make that 3 mils, and there is my sketch ready to go. So that is where I want to have my body ready for the controller to be able to laser cut. So the last step I need to do, so I've got all the pieces with the right dimension to be able to have the cutouts, and I have my shape ready to go. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to right click on that face, and I'm actually going to not do that. I can go straight from the sketch and go save as DXF, so it'll export that. But what I often like to do is actually create a new drawing from that design so that I can adjust it. So this is going to be my controller updated demo. Save that through, create my drawing. So it doesn't really matter what I do as the template for this, because I'm going to remove it anyway. So I have that here. I'm going to place him, change that to the top. And it doesn't matter if I have shaded or visible edges, because they're all going to be there. He is 1-to-1, and I'm going to delete the rest of the details around the box. So that is now ready to go. So anytime I update my controller, this will allow me to change it. So I'm going to save that as my drawing. I'm just going to show you that process. So I can then go straight DXF export, save that to be able to take to the laser cutter. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you if I update this, what happens. So I'm actually going to get rid of that bottom line. I'm going to add a bit of a curve. So I'm going to use arcs here. So I'm going to throw one there, one there, one there, and what I want to make sure is that those are tangent. So that one there I can see is not quite a tangent, and we then have that tangent, 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 and then I'm going to change that so that I have some symmetry with those points. So that one, and that one, then lines that up nicely. Okay, so then the last thing I can do is then dimension those. So they, that's not quite smooth there. I'm not sure what's going on there. There we go. Okay, so they can still move a little bit. So I need to lock that in. So I might just go a dimension from that one to the center line. And it will go straight up. And then let's see what 20 looks like. That shifts that down. And I just need to slowly lock in. So I'm going to go back to 20 there. And that wasn't happy with that. So we just, again, keep playing. And I need to then lock it in how far that sits in. You can see I've got some adjustments to finish up. So if we go that way, I'm going to go 14. And then distance from there, that, and I should be very close. That guy still wants a dimension. So you can see that it's not letting me move it, but it hasn't given me the sketch, and those ones at the bottom are blue. Ideally, I'll try and fix those up, but I'm not going to play with that now. But you can see the process. I've saved that. And then if I go back over to my drawing, you can see that it's told me there's a warning, this guy up here. So if I go update that, and we can see, oh, let's get out of that sketch, finish the sketch, then save it. So then it has the body that we're referencing over here. Let's try that again. So again, update that, and magic, there he is. So now I can export that, update a controller. I'm saving it to my download so I can grab it, put it on the USB to take it to the laser cutter.